'Cause I'll be there for you, 'cause we care for you. You're there for me too, my friend. I know it's hard sometimes when you feel left behind. Tell me what's on your mind. Why do this on your own, yeah? 'Cause I'll be there for, 'cause I'll be there for you, my friend.
Welcome to Johnny's Chats. I'm here with Georgianne King-Smith. How you doing?
Not bad. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Very well. Right, let's get into it. So you're currently a few months into well, you've got a page as well that's been following your journey, but you've been on
Yeah.
a serious weight loss journey. Do you want to tell the listeners a bit about that?
So I started a page called Surviving Fat in on Instagram. I started it up in March last year on a bit of a whim, really. I was a bit debating whether to actually delete it, just to sort of like I felt like if I was posting things and things like that and engaging with other people that were trying to lose weight, then I thought it would kind of keep me motivated, really, which it has, and it's worked quite well. So I kind of started on the whole trying to lose weight thing. I've started a million times before and it's failed and whatever. But yeah, I started in March and I've lost like about 83 pounds so far. So
Wow, serious
going
start.
well. But yeah, I sort of was aiming for 100 pounds, which I'm sort of obviously still yet to get to. That's about
Still,
7 stone. So it's
yeah,
a
yeah,
lot, right?
yeah,
A
yeah.
lot.
But that goal's still in front of you, you know. So you said
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So you said it's different this time around. So what have you done differently that has inspired you to keep with it, sort of thing?
I don't know. I think I probably started in the January, like as normal with the whole New Year's thing. I definitely failed by the end of the day, let alone the first week.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I sort of picked it back up in March and I got back in contact with my coach. I was really at like an absolute desperate point. And he said, like, look, just come in and we'll do like a 12-week transformation thing. Just so that it gave me like a short goal to sort of, so I had an end goal in sight, because to me, 7 stone was like, wow, that's a lot of weight. I didn't know how long it was going to take. And I didn't want to sort of overwhelm myself. So I did that. I got back to the gym and then lockdown happened. So it kind of threw a spanner in the works.
yeah, of course,
Um,
yeah, yeah,
but I don't know, something, it kind of, I thought, to be honest, it would be my perfect excuse to just give up. Um, but actually, it did the opposite. I think being stuck in at home gave me time to just focus on myself. I kind of didn't have to worry too much about any external stuff going on outside the house.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, so yeah, sort of, I don't know if it was that was different this time, maybe.
Yeah, so it's almost like it gave you the time that you sort of like, because when we make excuses before lockdown sort of thing, everything was very different, and we did have the option of making excuses to not do what we need to do in order to
Definitely.
progress and better ourselves. You know, like there'll always be, oh, I'll do it later, or I'll do it tomorrow. But
Yeah.
when you're literally right there, there's nothing else to do, then you sort of
Yeah.
like it's turning that negative of having lockdown into a massive positive. You know, like
Yeah.
you know,
I
and
think it kind of distracted me as well a bit, because I at first I was a bit, my mental health, I was a bit like, wow, like how am I going to get through this? Thinking at the time it was so much uncertainty, like with how long we was going to be in lockdown, how this was all going to pan out.
yeah.
So it was kind of a happy distraction in a way, which yeah, it was a bit weird, but it has helped a
Yeah,
lot, to be honest.
yeah, 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 definitely. Like you said about like, it's like almost like you get put in a situation where the only option is to become mentally stronger. Do you know what I mean? Like it can either go either way. You either let it deteriorate or you work on implementing them good habits and
Yeah.
developing it and making it stronger and growing from it. And it's like, yeah, definitely turned a bad situation into an absolute blessing. And from your
Yeah.
experience, what I'm hearing is like, yeah, and the proof's
Yeah,
in the pudding.
definitely.
So
It's sort of been a bit of a, like, I think my physical state has been a major reflection of like my emotional state.
yeah,
So
cool.
it's like years worth of being in such a bad place mentally, I've kind of like over time just abused my body, kind of left me in this state really. So I feel like actually this sort of it's been 10 months, has sort of, I've been unconditioning myself to like all these habits that I've gathered over the years.
It's almost giving you like a clean slate to start off of again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and you do sometimes have to hit rock bottom in order to push back up again, you know, and reach.
Definitely.
And
I
swim back
thoroughly
up to the
believe in
surface.
that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So where you said you had these bad habits before and you weren't in a very good place mentally, where from implementing like, well, I suppose gym and your diet and all that has become a form of therapy for you. So like what's the changes?
Like? So I've always been like a real emotional eater, which I know a lot of people are in like a similar boat there. I think some people, when they can't process their emotions, a lot of people turn to drink and drugs and various different sort of like, it's like a comfort, isn't it, I suppose. But I've always done it with food, and I think it sort of stems back to like when I was in school and I had a rubbish time in school, and I kind of just got into this rut of like not eating all day, and then just eating carbs and chocolate and all sorts of stuff in the evening. And I've done that for a long time. Like I can go ages without eating, but then just like gorging on like stuff I shouldn't be having. In them sort of amounts anyway. But yeah, I don't know. I just think I've sort of developed these bad habits over time, and they've been so ingrained in my mind that it's been really hard to like unpick them. It's been hard to actually acknowledge them and identify them for what they are before you can then start working on them and start trying to like undo them all really. So obviously I haven't been able to train that much this year because the gyms have been closed and open and closed. So the majority of this I've done with just food, sort of altering my food and my food types and all of that. So
it's good stuff. So what's I was saying I was going to say there, I really forgot, it's gone out of my head. What has been the biggest change you've noticed in yourself? Oh, that was it. So in your habits, you have to sort of like take a step back, don't you, to like observe yourself like in that sort of like in the bad habits sort of thing, and then be like, right, then you can start seeing where it goes and then changing it and then restructure it, you know, like when you build a house, like when you're building it, but then you have to take a step back to see if it's the walls are straight sort of thing. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely, yeah. It's like a lot of sort of self-reflection going on. And I think, to be honest, a lot of what's changed this time is the kids. I've sort of kind of really realised that like I got to a point where like the kids want me to be playing with this and playing with that, and they're, you know, I'm on my feet the whole time. But I was like just so tired, which that comes with mum life anyway. But a lot of it was my weight. A lot of it I was like I couldn't be bothered to move because it was taking up so much energy where I'm carrying so much weight. I was 18 stone 6.
Wow.
And I'm only 5'1". So on a BMI chart, that puts me at, I had a BMI of 48.6, which was crazy. So I kind of like was watching how I was with the kids. Even it was really becoming quite apparent that I felt like an awful mum because I weren't being the best mum I could be to them. And I knew a large portion of that was actually, one, how I was feeling about myself, and two, my actual physical state. So I had to kind of fix them things, and it is hard because it's hard with the complication of like mental health. I do suffer a lot with my mental health, so it's sort of an added complication sometimes when you're trying to do another big journey like this. But again, the two do go hand in hand. So I've really noticed my mental state has got a lot better as my physical state's been changing, and just how I feel about myself, really. I kind of feel bad sometimes that I've allowed myself to hate myself that much, to the point that when I looked in the mirror, I just hated what I see. And I used to think that I hated myself. I didn't hate myself. I think I just maybe hated, I don't really know. I just hated whatever was going on, and it was probably more mental, to be honest, than actually physical.
It's probably well, it's like you said, it wasn't how you looked or anything like. Well, it wasn't yourself sort of thing. It was more
Yeah,
where you were, where you had habits of, well, self-destructive. You
definitely.
know, and that like the way we treat ourselves and the way we treat others, and like that's just reflections of how we're feeling inside, sort of thing. You know, so if
Yeah.
you're feeling like that, and then you look, and then you put yourself down, and then it's just an ongoing circle. Do you know what I mean? It's a
It is.
snowball effect. You know?
The more down you feel, the more you want to eat.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
you
yeah,
eat and then you feel down again. And it's at some point. So I remember sitting there sometimes just thinking, this is never going to end.
yeah,
And I have honestly felt at times like suicidal. I've been very low at times where I felt like, what is the point? What
yeah,
is the point of my existence? That I felt, which wasn't rational at all. So obviously when I'm in a down state, but I've been trying to just take back a bit of that control. I feel like I've been really out of control of my mind and out of control of my body.
yeah,
And I just kind of use that time in lockdown to just think, I'm going to try and just take a little bit of that control back and see where I can go on my own with no other sort of intervention from like a doctor with medication or other things like that. Really, I've tried various therapies over the span of my life
yeah, yeah.
because I have been overweight for my whole entire adult life, really. And yeah, I think that's sort of just all stemmed from emotional issues from like the age of 11, really.
Wow, yeah, 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 yeah. That's tough,
It's
man.
a lot of stuff to work through.
Yeah,
I'm
definitely.
getting there.
Definitely. Yeah, man. So you said, yeah, so it's like working on that self love. I suppose like society as well has a big part to play in it, you know, like when you said it's fair play to you for doing it on your own, you know, and like finding that inner strength to push through and get through it and figure it out yourself, because like all healers, like you can learn off somebody else, but we have that information within us how to heal ourselves as well, you know, like other
Definitely.
healers can act as guides and like, but we like they can give us the tools, but the real we really have to do the work ourselves and put in them good habits, because everything else can only do so much, you know. So this magic pill that people look for when they go to the doctors and stuff like that, it don't exist, man. Do you know what I mean? It's all
No, I've tried that. I've tried in the past. I had a real sort of, I'd say it was 2015. I had a proper mental breakdown,
yeah,
um, and I did have to go to the doctors. The college actually ended up ringing the doctors
yeah,
and made me an appointment for 3 weeks' time. My mum, they then contacted my mum, and my mum was like, she ain't going to be here in 3 weeks' time. Like, that's not good enough. You have to see her sooner. And I did get put on some antidepressants. I tried a few different ones. We tried different types of antidepressants, and we tried different dosages, and this was over a period of time. And they just didn't work very well on me. I don't know
mm,
whether it is a bit of like the mental side of it you've got to put with it.
yeah,
I just weren't in the best place for it. And yeah, I don't know. It just didn't quite work. And I have always been a bit like look down more the holistic avenues. And there is something I take at the moment, which is I've never looked back on since I've started taking it. It's just like a health supplement, really. It's called 5-HTP.
yeah, yeah,
And it's brilliant for like taking the edge off your anxiety.
yeah, yeah,
I've been
yeah,
told about it years ago, and I just didn't believe it would work, to be honest. I didn't ever start it. But I just chucked it in along with my other vitamins that I take since I've been obviously eating better and all of that. And it's been working really well,
yeah,
actually. So,
yeah,
yeah,
definitely. Like it does, yeah, like you said, like when you put it in with everything else, like the good diet
yeah,
and the supplements and like the healthy lifestyle, it enhances the effect of it. Do you know what I mean? Like if somebody's in like not looking after themselves, not putting in good habits, then it might work to a certain extent, but they won't feel the full effects of it until they do change everything else. You know what I mean?
mhm,
So you're saying
definitely.
about different holistic therapies, like what ones have you tried out, sort of thing? Like,
Um, Over the years, I've tried loads of different things. I think when I was in secondary school, I had a terrible time, and I was that kid that nobody knew what to do with me. The school, I feel like even now, what was that? Probably 2014. I started secondary school. 2014. God, I'm not that young. 2004. Um, how old was that? Yeah. So basically, that was like a long time ago now. I feel like mental health has improved even in secondary schools, and in their way of dealing with kids with mental
mm,
health
mm,
issues.
mm, mm,
However, at the time, they didn't know what to do with me, and they used to send me to the room where they used to deal with like the children that had physical disabilities and like behavioural issues and things like that. And I kind of didn't slot in anywhere there. But again, they just didn't know what to do. So we had a big task on our hands of trying to actually get me into school, because I used to not go, and I was on a reduced timetable. And my mum used to take me to a few different things, a few different types of therapies, really. But I tried some hypnotherapy. I think, to be honest, I was a bit young for it at the time.
Okay.
But it did work. It did work for a while, and it just sort of did happen. As I got a bit older, it did help a bit. I was offered, so my brother was actually murdered when I was 14, and the school used to get me in some like a counsellor. And I don't actually think I ever saw him. I was a bit like, no, not dealing with this. Like, I just shut it out of my head, and I tried to just go back to school and carry on. I've had different therapies. I've had CBT. I have done talking therapies, like just normal counselling. I'm trying to think off the top of my head what I've done. I've tried the EFT, emotional freedom technique, with the tapping.
I don't know that.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. And there's another one I wanted to try soon called BWRT. It's to do with like the neuropaths in your brain, and basically how you act to it. Once something's happened in your life, your brain develops like a neuro pathway of how you're going to deal with that. And then anytime something similar happens, your brain just instantly reacts that way. And it's about changing them neuro pathways, really, which is they're meant to be really good. And you're meant to be able to sort of like only have one session, and it's sort of helping a lot of people.
Wow.
There's a lot of different things. I try a lot, and obviously I'm quite spiritual as well, so I kind of have that aspect to it, which kind of just changes my general perspective on things in general, really.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, like, there is, I believe in myself as well, that we are like spiritual beings in a human experience, you know. So it's like what we perceive as physical and like mental and all that has like also the spiritual aspect of it, you know. And like it's like something going wrong mentally or physically is something that is like a symptom of something deeper within, you know what I mean? Like, and all them like bad habits and all that sort of stuff. And then if you start changing the smaller aspect, you can start diving into it and if you do things consciously as well, like we were saying earlier about being the observer, then you can also start like, doing like changing yourself sort of thing, you know, like.
Definitely, yeah. There's a lot. I mean, I've sort of always grown up being fairly spiritual. I'd say like when I lost my brother as well, it kind of took a bit more of a advanced step forward with that, because it just helped us cope with it, and kind of helped us view death in a slightly different way, which has, because I mean, there's been a few people, I'm still sort of, I've lost a few people in my life, really, that it's been quite hard to deal with. And I do think then you're kind of on this journey of grief and trying to battle through that as well. And I just sometimes feel like, because I've got quite a weird family set up as well, it's all a bit, I don't know, I'd say dysfunctional was probably the word, but I don't feel like that's probably actually the case for a lot of families now. So it's kind of not really dysfunctional anymore. But yeah, I just think sometimes, like, it depends on what you believe in. You do get a lot of people that are like, oh, you don't believe in all that crap, do you? And it's a bit like, it's really mean, because I just think I would never say that to anybody of any like religion,
Exactly.
or anything like that. You just wouldn't say that. Well, I mean, I don't know, some people might, but I would never dream of saying something like that to somebody. But I think when you're sort of then cast aside as like, oh, that's spiritual one, it's a bit like you're made out to be a bit of a hippie and all of that. And it's like, no, it's not the case. It's just a way of dealing and coping with life. And I think at the moment, the world we're living in is crazy. Like, it's really hard to actually find that balance between like the spiritual plane and like the earth plane.
Yeah.
I sometimes feel like I'm 1 foot in, 1 foot out on both, and it's actually can get a little bit too much sometimes. So I have to kind of then take that step back again and be like, hold on, what's going on here? And reevaluate where I'm at.
Yeah. Like almost like a flow of it. So you go in and then like you get involved, and you take a step back, analyze it, do some
Yeah.
work, and then go back in, and then do you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah,
constant,
it's
isn't
like
it?
a bit like you're doing the hokey cokey, like you're just kind of not sure what's going on. But at the same time, it does help. And I find sometimes when I'm feeling very uncomfortable with like normal life, like everyday life,
Yeah.
it is good to take that time back and be like, hold on, I'm just going to zone out for a little while. I probably do go a bit on the missing list at times, with like being quiet, and I take a while to get back to people on messages, and I do intensely feel this pressure nowadays, especially with social media, to have to reply and be available to everybody at all times.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's hard to sort of do that, especially when you're trying to balance looking after kids and everything else you've got to do. It is hard. It's a weird time. Really weird time.
Yeah, very much so. With everything that's going on, especially, you know, like there's a lot of people, like it's good to be open, but you do have to, like, you know, value your own safe space and that, you know, your own personal bubble and that, like, because you can't you can't fill up glasses from an empty jug, you know, so that you do have to take that time to spend on your own and build yourself up again, and then go out and help as many people as you can, and then as much as you can, and then come back and, you know, fill up the jug again, and just like you're saying, go in and out sort of thing.
Yeah, you definitely. I can't provide and be in the best state for. Oh, I'm sorry. No, sorry, I've got someone saying.
No.
I feel like I can't provide properly for the family and be emotionally available if I'm in a bad way. So that's why it was just so important for me to get to a point where I was like, I just can't do this anymore. I can't carry on being this down. And I mean, I still get bouts of depression. I still live with anxiety most days. Like, I even felt anxiety before coming on here. Like, it's so ingrained into me now that my heart rate is permanently high. It's in a natural state of being high all the time, where I've been like this for so long. Even down to like my teeth. I was given like a guard by the dentist because I'm so tense. She said, I can tell from the way your teeth are, you are permanently tense. She said, and you're probably grinding your teeth at night in just sort of frustration and being so, I'm tense all the time. And I couldn't deal with guilt anymore. I just felt like I was looking at the kids and I'm just like, I should be better to you all. And I just couldn't do it. Something had to change. So I think that started with both my physical state. It was a both. I couldn't tackle one without the other. That was the hard bit, because doing them both is so overwhelming. But at the same time, it was like absolutely necessary. Because I have put off for years. I'm thinking, I'm not in a good place mentally. I can't deal with my weight and all that. But then my weight was getting worse and worse and worse. I thought, before I know it, I'll be 20 plus stone and finding it even harder to do anything. And be lucky if I was still here by the time I'm 40, the way I was carrying on. So
That's it.
yeah.
Yeah. So you sort of like, but you took that step, you know, like instead of like saying, oh, pushing it back, I'm not in the right place. You thought, fuck it, I'm just going to do it. And you did it, man. And look at 8, 9 months down the line, look at, do you know what I mean? Look at the benefits of it.
Yeah. I feel like, because with my page, it started off as just a space for like, to document how I'm getting on. And I lost weight. I lost about 3 stone or so in 2015. And I remember thinking that the best thing that was helping me was seeing other people do it. Seeing that it was possible to do it, and like people that was my height, my weight, and all of that. And over time, as I've been doing this, I've just been getting a lot more people that have been messaging, like saying, oh, I can't believe like we're so similar in where we are in our journeys and stuff, and I'm just so desperate to do this and things like that. And it's like, over time, I've realized that actually just sharing what I'm doing and what I'm going through is actually helping other people. And in turn, it's kind of helping me, because I feel like I'm actually putting something positive out there as well, which obviously inside it makes you feel good and it makes you feel like there's more of a purpose, because that's always been my issue, to be honest. I've always felt very lost and very like, what's the point in my existence, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And obviously you expect, as you become a parent, you think, oh, well, I'll find that purpose, that is my purpose in life now. But
Yeah.
actually it's not always that straightforward, and it can make you feel even more like you kind of lose your identity a bit, because you're then just mum. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
I'm a bit like, who am I anymore? I don't even know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's hard. I'm trying to find myself a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a bit of a weird one.
Yeah. Well, you've embarked on the journey, so that's it. Just got to
Yeah.
keep going forward. 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So anybody out there listening with that is looking to make that first step into change and growth and self-development, what advice would you give them?
I think too, I try and keep it really, I try to strip back to basics. So I would advise to just take baby steps, like
Yeah.
always. Don't worry about what other people think. It's hard, like I know that's easier said than done. That's probably been a big issue. Like I didn't want to start that page because I thought, oh, everyone's going to be like, oh, what are you doing? Actually, I've just thought I have to do this for me.
Yeah.
So I do think trying to let go of other people's expectations of you, and letting go of the fear of judgment, really,
Yeah.
because actually we do live in a very judgmental society. You can't do anything now without somebody having an opinion on it.
Yeah.
Fine for people to have opinions, but it's just we live in a world where everybody airs it a bit too freely now. So it's hard to start, but it's the best thing you'll ever do. I think sometimes you just got to go inside yourself. It's like literally stripping back and questioning what is going on in your life. Why are you feeling the way that you're feeling? Some people might need the additional help from other people, like a therapist of some kind.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I've just tried so many different things, and I've found that actually my most successful point till now has been just trying to have a bit more faith in myself and just trying to trust myself a bit more and
100%.
being a bit more intuitive with how I am,
Yeah. Yeah.
and what works for me. Because it's good to try things. I think it's definitely, you pick things up as you go and you learn different things.
Yeah.
It's always really good to try different stuff
That's
as
it.
well.
Definitely.
So
Definitely.
yeah,
Fair play to you, George. Good luck to you. And
thank you.
let's see if down the line we can get you back on again and see what your progress is saying.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. I'm hoping sort of by March I might have hit my £100, if not.
Yeah. Yeah.
But even if, I'm once I've sort of lost the fat I want to lose and all of that, then I'm going to start building muscles, so my food and all that will change all over again, and I'll be on a sort of slightly altered journey.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I do think that the mental health side of it is never going to change. I feel like it's ever a changing with, we go through different phases in life, but I do feel like the mental health issues that I've got won't ever go. I've just got to learn to live with it and live with it comfortably, and manage it appropriately, I think, without emotional eating, and just accept it. It doesn't always have to be the enemy.
That's it. It's making your mind your friend, like look at
Yeah,
like all the greatest inventors and spiritual gurus and all that. They've just learned to live with compassion with their own mind and and instead of their mind running them, they use their minds productively as a tool, which is how it's meant to be. Sometimes we get lost in our mind, but it's all about, making our mind our friend and then encouraging it to help us create a better world, like that's the power of it. It's just feeding it the right stuff and
yeah,
getting it
it's easy
working
to
properly,
demonize it. I think it's easy to sort of like demonize mental health issues alone, because I think they're often viewed as like this kind of bad creature in the mind, which I know for a lot of us, I know for myself, it's definitely felt like that for a long time.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but actually, I think now that everybody can talk about it a bit more, it does help that there's so many of us sort of going through similar stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is like you say, learning to sort of let your mind be your friend, and actually learning to accept how you cope with life on your own as well, and how you sort of process your thoughts and emotions. So yeah, it's something that I just think as we get older, we'll just always be dealing with it, but
Yeah.
we'll get better with it and we'll get wiser
Yeah, yeah.
as well.
That's
So
it. That's it. all lessons. Life's a school, man. Definitely.
Definitely, that is true.
Yeah, man. Well, Georgie, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Yes,
Like I said,
thank you. Thanks for having me on.
that's all right. My pleasure. I'll be in touch, no doubt, and we can get you on again further down the line. See how you're getting on.
Yeah, definitely. I look forward to it.
So, all right. I'm just gonna. I'll stop the recording.
Yeah.
Cause I'll be there for you, cause we care for you. You're there for me too, my friend. I know it's hard sometimes when you feel left behind. Tell me what's on your mind. Why do this on your own, yeah? Cause I'll be there for you, my friend. Cause I'll be there for you, cause you're there for me too. Oh yeah, there for